Hey folks, it's News in a Flash and the Daily Read for today. Today is January 13th, 2025. And first item of news is that the LA fires continue. Death toll continues to go up. There's about 24 plus dead now, which is a tragedy. Uh, Mel Gibson, in an interview with Joe Rogan, said he lost his home. Actually, an interview with someone else, I should say. Lost lost his home and the many items that were in it. Um, but he did say in regard to that his family is safe. That's the most important thing. Many actors and actresses have lost their homes, and many people have lost their homes in the area, and it continues to be a major tragedy. Uh, Future Vice President J.D. Vance says that California is incompetent. And I agree with that. They've been a very incompetent government there. California is one of our most beautiful states, one of our most productive states. It would be one of the top nations in the world economically if it were an independent country. But it has seriously done great harm to its people. Its government, which is dominated by a Democratic Party that no longer is the party of FDR, it is no longer the New Deal party that I would belong to, the party that I believe in. FDR was the greatest president of the 20th century, in my opinion. But it's no longer the party of JFK, party that fought for civil rights and a party that fought to have a better America, an America where he said to every American citizen in his inaugural address, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It's not that party anymore. It's a party of wokeness, and it's a party of greenies. The Green Movement and the woke movement are both part of a new religion that if you deviate from the green agenda, that climate change is caused by man, which it is not. This is something that many are claiming that climate change has caused the great fires. Well, it may or may have not. We may or may not be going through climate change. There has been a recent study that has been just released, a scientific one, which has shown that we're actually in a down cycle on temperatures. Uh, so, and that temperatures were much higher at a time when man did not have technology and man was not even around. So, um, it's a great big hoax. There's a lot of money in it, and the cap and trade thing and all these other things have all been put together by nefarious groups, probably to make money. And what it will do is it will retard the growth of third world countries, what we used to call third world countries, developing countries, um, and it will go make first world countries, nations that have achieved that in Europe and the Americas and nations like Japan, go backwards. It's kind of if you learned in your history lesson the Luddites who refused technology and didn't want to change, it's kind of that sort of situation. Well, that is the Greenie movement. I'm a conservationist, much like Theodore Roosevelt, my second favorite president of the 20th century, and much like FDR. I believe in, in recycling, and I think there should be a great national recycling program, which we don't have at the moment. And I believe in the taking your cans back and getting 5 cents, which you can do here in New York. I believe in those sorts of things, and they are very helpful. And conservation on the farms and other things. I believe in clean air and water. We can do things to ensure that we don't pollute our waterways and our land. But the greening movement is something much different. Man does not cause climate change. All the studies out there, if you actually look into them, and there's been many climate gates where they've actually shown that they're lying to the people, and they're doing it on purpose, and they're doing it based upon money that's being given to them. Um, all the studies show that it's primarily the sun and solar activity, in addition to other natural phenomena. It's a natural cycle. And the main thing that we need to do when it comes to climate change, if it is actually happening, is to come up with solutions. And man is good at coming up with solutions to react to it, and that is it. But our use of oil and our use of gas and our use of those sorts of things, carbon emissions are not, and there's no proof scientifically through the use of the scientific method, which is the basis of science, um, that carbon emissions are causing the Earth to warm or change climate. There's there's none. Anyways, many of the lefties who now control the Democratic Party, especially that of California and of Gavin Newsom, who is actually a relative of Nancy Pelosi, um, are claiming this, and it's just ridiculous. The incompetence of the California government, of the LA government, the focus on the racist program of DEI to hire people based on their race or their religion or their whatever, which is undemocratic, un-American, and it's against the civil rights movement that we fought for as a nation with the great Martin Luther King, very much so. So yeah, there's still issues with the LA fires. They're still going on. It's one of the top stories in the nation. Next, we have Biden awards Pope Francis the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is one of our highest civilian awards that can be given. Great misuse of that award, in my opinion. And he's also awarded others as well, including Hillary Clinton. Um, but the two people that I think should not have gotten it most is Pope Francis. He's done nothing to receive that award for the Catholic Church or for the world, for that matter. I am not myself a Catholic. I have Catholics that are in my family, and I do watch videos here on YouTube and listen to the thoughts of traditional Catholics and their concerns about their church and what's happening to it. And Pope Francis is not doing good for that church. He may very well be an anti-pope, as they call them. And that church, the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has lived through anti-popes before. So it just could be a moment of that. But he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for being the people's pope, apparently. But bad idea. The other really bad idea, even worse, is awarding it to George Soros. George Soros collaborated with the Nazis during World War II to against his own people, the Jewish people, who were eventually slaughtered in the Holocaust. He's a horrible individual, and he's supporting things today in Europe and in America now that undermine our democracies, our democratic republics, which is basically what we are. Democracy in the sense of majority rule, which I firmly believe in, and republic in our sense anyway, of a government of by and for the people. It's a government without monarchy. Sovereigns are the people, which is what I believe, not some individual family, which is what Britain has and other nations have, which is fine. That's called constitutional monarchy. That's also a democracy in the sense that they have majority rule. But Soros has undermined this. He has here in America, he has his one of his stated goals. He has actually said this is to bring America down. He wants to reduce our power uh, worldwide. And America has been a force for good in the world. We're an exceptional nation. We have we were created, I believe, by the will of God through great individuals such as Washington and Jefferson and Adams and Alexander Hamilton and Patrick Henry and etc. to affect the world in a positive way. And without America, Europe would be very much worse off for us not having involved ourselves in World War II in defeating Nazism, which we did, and in defeating communism during the Cold War. But anyway, yeah, two very bad ideas of rewarding that metal freedom to George Soros, horrible individual, someone who I think should have his assets frozen here in the United States and should be put under major investigation, he and his family, for interference in our elections and other things. Maybe they haven't done anything, but we should certainly do that. Certainly not a friend of the United States. And Pope Francis, who has done many things, if you listen to the traditional Catholics and to that church, which has undermined its principles. But that's, for that church to decide, of course. I'm not a Catholic, but I do support their right. Um, Next thing in news in a flash is that Biden proposes new rules for AI chips exports to protect national security. Now, this is actually a good idea that is being proposed. America must remain at the top of production and chip innovation, and ahead of China, especially, who is our natural enemy at the moment. And 120 countries will be affected by this. It will not affect our major allies like Australia, Canada, Germany, Japan, the UK, and others, our allies. And again, the chip CEOs are not happy about this because it's going to affect their production, in countries where they can get really cheap labor. Well, too bad. I don't believe in your free market, free trade system, anyways. It's not the form of capitalism that built America, that built the British Empire in the original first place, and all other major powers in the world. It's not the form of capitalism that increases the wealth of the people or the nation itself. It is a lousy form of capitalism. It only awards those individuals, such as those CEOs, those robber barons of today, who want to have as cheap a labor as possible by importing workers into America through H-1B visas and other programs like that, or by going overseas and making things overseas and then selling them back into the United States, and expecting to have a great market for us to use, um, for them to make money. Uh, they've had it very well for a while. Now, we did some of these things, made some of these changes in the Cold War in order to win the Cold War. That is over. We must go back to the true economic system that made America great, which is mercantile capitalism, which is national capitalism, or however you want to put it. But it really is, I mean, historians use the term mercantilism as a precursor to capitalism. But mercantilism never died. Mercantilism is an economic system where where the rules are set to make the nation wealthy, the sovereign wealthy, which in most cases in that era was the king or the kingdom. In our era, since we are sovereigns, our nation. And it was a form of capitalism that we practiced that we just simply call protectionism. The use of protective tariffs and subsidies um, and other measures by government and rules set by government, such as anti-monopoly rules. Sometimes you support a monopoly. That's something the British did with the East India Company and other things. In order, navigation laws, which require that products be shipped on your ships. These sorts of things help a nation become wealthy, help a nation to become productive. And nations that practice them, as Japan did after World War II, and to some extent Germany after World War II, nations that practice such mercantile capitalism are the ones that are most successful and gain the most wealth. But and CEOs, too bad. I think this is a good idea that Biden is doing. The next news item in a flash is tough on crime is coming back to the states, which is a good idea, very good idea. We got lax on crime uh, in the last few years. Uh, Here in New York State, especially, bail laws were changed and other things were changed. Some things needed to be changed, but for the most part, the laws were correct. And there's been criticism of President Clinton, who I did not like when he was president, because I think he betrayed he's the one that created the new Democratic Party, which moved itself towards wokeism and political correctness and focus on those sorts of issues and away from the original New Deal Democratic Party, which was for the worker and for creating the great middle class society that made America a great great place to live. Well, anyways, in regards to that, the new tough on crime approach is in Missouri and in other states throughout this union is something that's good. They're starting to realize that being lax on crime, lax on things like shoplifting, fentanyl use, fentanyl selling, uh, sex crimes involving children. These things need to be toughened. We need to become tougher on them, and they're starting to realize that and pass new laws, become tough on crime again. And I think that's a very good thing, especially in those areas. Um, so, very good idea. The rest of my page. Something the Rush Limbaugh used to do, which is kind of interesting. Let's see what we have next. As you can see, I'm not wearing my hat today. I do have my hat. I don't want to go too long, but I just had put it on today. There we go. This is my gentleman's hat. But I'll wear it the remainder of the show. So the next item is big tech um, is pivoting towards free speeches, being the best at being free speech zones. So Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth, they're all moving towards free speech, which is a very good thing. I believe strongly in the civil liberties of the people. We must have the ability to speak freely, and we must have the ability to publish freely, both of which involve these areas. Um, whether you're a Holocaust denier or a racist, or you're someone who believes in fighting racism and telling the truth about the Holocaust, you should have a right to express your opinion, because your right to express your opinion means I have a right to express an opinion. And I have a right to debate you and present facts and reason to defeat what you are saying. But if you're going to restrict someone's ability to say something and censor them, that is undemocratic, un-American. It is against the universal rights of man, which is one of which is the right to liberty and the right to speak freely and to publish freely. So we need to protect that right. And the fact that the tech companies are coming out and protecting that right, that's a good thing. Now, they can put into place measures where single individuals, you and I, can block out certain individuals we just don't want to hear from because we don't like their opinions or we feel they're not telling the truth. This whole idea of having an office of misinformation and so on, this is an old tactic used by communists and fascists and Nazis and dictatorships and kingdoms and whatever. It's just misusing words. It's kind of the whole George Orwell thing where you control the language, control the debate. So yes, it is a good thing that they're actually competing with one another to be the most free speech zone there is. That's good for all of us. The next thing in news on the flash involves populism. I believe that, for lack of a better word, populism, which had its early start in America long ago in the 1800s with certain ideas. But modern populism, which takes a left wing and a right wing, if you look at it in that sense. Left wing mostly in economic issues, which I agree with their sentiments. People like Bernie Sanders and people like that who are for strong worker rights and for better conditions in the workplace, and even Michael Moore's idea of economic democracy, the idea that actually is practiced in Germany, like with their social market system, which is the idea that workers have a say in the company and that they are able to share in profits. Something I firmly believe in because I believe they will work better for a company and harder for a company if they are able to share in profits. These are the left wing populists. They do exist. They are in the MAGA movement. I am one of them. And they're mainly focused on those sorts of economic concerns. It's concerns for the people. That's what populism is. And the other form of populism is what they call right wing populism. I don't like labels, but it's really a wrong label. But these are people who wish to protect the nation and its heritage, its culture, its ideals, and even the universal principles of man, such as the right to free speech. Uh, these people are found in the MAGA movement as well. And many are formulating around that movement and in America's Republican Party. But they also are found in Le Pen's party in France. And they're found in Farage's party, the Reform Party of Britain. And they're found in the Alternative for Germany, the AFD, that is in Germany. The AFD is rising in Germany. It may win elections in Germany. And the EU has threatened to restrict or to cancel elections in Germany if the AFD wins. Uh, the EU has a commission that can do this, an unelected commission. That's why the European Union, I do not believe in, and I believe the Europeans should throw it up. And I'm glad the British did. Um, uh, they're rising in Germany, and they're a populist party. Now, populist parties may tend more to the right and more to the left, or may be a combination of both. Is what I would prefer. But Farage's party is a populist party, and they are concerned with immigration. Europe is an ethnic continent of European peoples, Indo-Europeans. Indo-Europeans settled areas from North India to Russia, all the way up to the northlands of the Nordics, to the Iceland, to the Celtic areas of Ireland and France and northern Spain and even North Africa and the Middle East. These are Indo-European peoples. A great civilization has produced many things, and they don't have to have immigration. It's not a part of their history unless there's an invasion. But it was either forced upon them or put upon them by leftists who, for whatever reason. Now, it's okay for a nation to have 5 or 10% minority population and get the best and brightest from all over the world, from all the different areas of the world, to help them out and to give diversity to their culture and to the resistance. That's fine if they want to do that. But Europe is getting overwhelmed by an invasion from sub-Saharan Africa and from other areas, and especially from the Islamic world. Uh, and it's just wrong. The people don't want it, and that's one of the reasons why AFD is rising in Germany and why Le Pen is rising in France, and Farage is rising in Britain. If things continue in Britain as they are, and it may be irreversible now, Britain will be an Islamic country in the future. It won't be a Christian country. Now, I'm not a religionist. I believe all religions are man-made. I do believe God exists, but that was forced upon them. That is something they did not want. So, anyways, the people have a right to choose that. Now, our country is a little different. We are a nation of immigrants. I do believe we have a divine proportion, which gives the Indo-European type peoples a majority, and have been a majority since 1776, at the very least, since the time it was founded, with the Pilgrims and came in. And that has been messed with as well since 1965 in our nation, and the illegal immigration that's coming in. But a lot of the illegal immigrants coming in, people who are coming in, um, are of European, Indo-European heritage as well. They're just Hispanics, and from their mother country, Spain, rather than England, Germany, or Ireland, which were most of uh, our Indo-European peoples came from. Anyways, it's getting kind of long, so I better move on. But anyways, yes, populism is rising. It is a positive force for the world. It will save Western man, and it will save other parts of the world too, including Eastern man, including nations like Japan and uh, and the Philippines and other nations. Let me just go quickly through the rest of the items for today. DeSantis slams the H-1B visa program. Here he is completely right, and Trump is completely wrong. Again, the H-1B visa program was put in under the original President Bush. It's bad. Those type of programs replace American workers, and it needs to stop. Next in the news in the class is EU Commission. Well, we already went over that. So the next is regarding Mel Gibson again. In his Joe Rogan interview, Mel Gibson said that there is actually a cure for cancer. He knows several individuals personally who have been in stage 4 cancer, and had it go completely away using ivermectin and other drugs. And listen to the interview and you can see what he says. And he says there's actually a cure for it. And I believe that's probably true. Um, that's why they didn't want you using ivermectin during the whole COVID situation, I believe. But whatever the case might be, he says there is a cure for it and they need to look into it. And hopefully, Bobby Kennedy's health administration will do the right thing and actually look into that as a possible cure. The next item, again, I need to move quickly because I'm kind of running long here today, is that China is dominating the shipbuilding industry. It's doing so unfairly, according to a U.S. probe. And China's dominating a lot of things unfairly. And they say that because of this, we can impose penalties because part of the World Trade Organization, which we should not belong to, I think we should get out of the WTO. It's part of the whole free trade, free market, capitalist idea of Adam Smith is nonsense. Um, Nation states have a right to determine their economic policies, and they should be for the generation of wealth for their nation and for their people and for developing things. But anyways, that's the next item. I do believe in those imposing those penalties, and I do believe that America should focus on becoming a mercantile capitalist country again, and one that focuses on recreating our manufacturing base and bringing it back and balancing it out with a strong agricultural base and and of course a strong service commercial base, which does exist in this country. It will take care of itself once those other major parts of industry, um, such as manufacturing and agriculture, are taken care of. The next thing quickly is two New York things. I live here in the former great state of New York. And the minimum wage went up here. I support minimum wage increases only insofar as it does help people, but only in a small way. The minimum wage law is based in a good idea, which is that the minimum wage that you get should at least sustain you. It was risen to I think 15.50 here or 15.25, something like that. It was $15. But what happens when the minimum wage increases? That's the good part is it increases, but the bad part is that it also increases prices for everybody else. And so it's kind of like a negative thing. So you have the good and the bad. There has to be a better way to handle wages and income distribution in a nation. And that needs to be looked into and it needs to be studied and we need to come up with a solution. Now I have my own solution. But I'm not going to go over it here right today because we're kind of running long. The next thing is so it's a good idea that it's been raised, but there's better ways to do it. The next thing is that New York is Governor Hochul, who's a horrible governor, who barely won her last election. Uh, but New York is kind of like California, dominated by a Democratic Party, which is woke and going the wrong direction. A leftist party, no longer the FDR party. But anyways, she's proposing a cap and trade type of law, which will raise $75 billion for carbon emissions from oil, natural gas, um, and coal companies. Ridiculous. It's based on the false idea that man-made climate change is real. It is not. And they're using this, as I said, to make profits, and they're using it to impose taxes upon the people. And what it will do for the people in New York is it will raise their gas prices, especially in upstate New York, which is where I live. It will raise their gas prices by 12 cents. Gas prices are already too high. If you compare them historically, if you compare the inflation rate today, and then you compare it to what gas prices were in the 1990s, let's say, they were like $1.10 or $1.19 or $1.20 a gallon at certain times. Gas prices should be no more than $1.76, maybe $2 a gallon at the most for the cheapest gas. But gas is like three something a gallon here. It's ridiculous. we need to get gas prices down, and Donald Trump has a good plan to do that. And thank God he's becoming president very soon. The next thing, and this cap and trade idea should be defeated, but of course, we are a state that is under siege and under control by a wokist, greeny, green religionist party, the Democratic Party. And the last thing here is kind of just in paranormal news. I'd like to bring up something paranormal related to President Carter, who just passed away. Condolences again to his family. He was not a very good president. But anyways, he made there's a report out there in the New York Post that you should go to and read. I'm not going to go over it too much. It's based on off the record remarks that were given to a reporter about his beliefs in UFOs. He did release a lot of information on UFOs while he was president, which was a good thing. I don't know what to think of the UFO situation. I've never seen one myself. President Carter said he did see one, and others have said so. But the only thing I can say is that it's a good read. You should go and read it, and it does contain information within the article that leads the reporter to believe and me to believe that there's something to the phenomenon. So go and read it and see what it says. So that's pretty much all for today as far as news in a flash. I did go a little bit long today. We're at what, 31 minutes, which is crazy. Um, I am working on trying to get my lighting better. I know the lighting for this is not very good. So, and I don't really, I do want to do my daily read. I'm going to go back to Friedrich List, and I'm just going to read from letter 6 that he wrote um, on July 20th, 1827, about America's economic system and about the mercantile capitalism. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph thereof, and then we'll move on. An individual only provides for his personal and family purposes. He rarely cares for others or for posterity. His means and views are restricted, rarely transgressing the circle of his private business. His industry is confined by the state of society in which he lives. A nation provides for the social wants of the majority of its members. As far as individuals cannot satisfy these wants by their own private exertions, it provides not only for the present, but for future generations. Not only for peace, but for war. When its views are extended not only over the whole space of land it possesses, but over the whole globe itself. So that's a little brief statement on from Friedrich List on the nation or the individual. Speaking of kind of the microeconomy as opposed to the macroeconomy. Microeconomy should be as free as possible, as little restriction as possible for hiring, firing, and making decisions for your business so that you can innovate. There should be competition laws that make sure there is competition, because one thing that competition does in the economy is it allows for higher employment rates. It allows for innovation and for better things for us, the consumer, the citizen. So, anyways, so in the individual economy, the microeconomy, um, the greater the freedom, the better, I think. On the with few laws, like the pro competition laws and anti monopoly laws. The only thing that should be a monopoly, monopolies are those things which can only be done by a single entity, such as the delivery of electricity or even the delivery of the internet, or cable television or something along those lines. Yes, they can be done by private companies. But I believe that if it is something that has to be done by a single entity, it's something that should be a service of government and should be delivered by the government for as cheap as possible to the people and the citizens of their country, if it is considered a necessity or something that is valuable to a nation. And I believe utilities are. So that's kind of my view. All right, so that's it for today. We went a little bit long, hopefully not too long, at 34 minutes. I do want to wish you a good Monday, and hope you all have a very good day. Remember, imagine your life, make it creative, and live it well, as you can see behind me. Um, and have a good day, folks.